Bigby Wolf is based on the fact that he was the first, as a kid, that I discovered that you can have a crossover character, because he was in the Little Red Riding Hood fairy tale, and he was also in the Three Little Pigs. But it was clearly the same character. And I loved it as a kid because I was just starting comic books, and both Marvel and DC had a thing unlike any other kind of literature out there, where people would show up in each other's books. And this was just like that. I go, this is like my comics, that he could be in this fairy tale and this fairy tale. But I'm watching Fractured Fairy Tales, which is one of the best things that's ever been on TV. Are you familiar with this?
I don't think so.
It's an the old Bullwinkle cartoon. In between the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons on the end, there's a couple of different things that they would cycle through, one of which was Fractured Fairy Tales, which would tell old fairy tales, but in a silly way. They would come out differently. Bigby Wolf would run away with Red Riding Hood while the wood chopper's like, And I turned to my mother because it's like, this is not how the fairy tales go. Are they allowed to do this? Aren't they going to get in trouble? And she explained, I don't know if she used the word public domain to me, but she explained the fact that there's things that anyone can do anything with. And that just blew my mind. As a kid, it was planted. It's like, okay, I guess if I wanted to write my own fairy tales, I could, which just seemed amazing to me. And it stuck with me through my career. When I decided to do Fables, so I wanted the big bad wolf, clearly. If I kept him as a villain, I'd get to use him once or twice, maybe. But I hate recurring villains, because that really means incompetent heroes. So I said, well, but if I change him to a hero, I could use him often. So that was the decision. Then, and that's as much as I knew about the character, as he was a reformed big bad wolf. The military background kind of occurred to me somewhere along the ways. Him being as Megan. By the way, Megan is my editor on most things. Say hi, Megan. The fact that he became kind of the ideal for what I consider to be a great dad, that combination of I love my cubs and I would protect the hell out of them, but at the same time I can't protect them from I want them to go off, have dangers and adventures and stuff, otherwise they grow up timid, and you can't have timid wolves. So in that way, it was an idealization of my dad, because he was, we were always protected, we always had food on the table, et cetera, but his idea of teaching me to row a boat one day, when I said, can I learn to row a boat, is we got to the shore, my brother and my dad got off to start lunch, and he pushed me in the boat out in the lake again. He goes, okay, when you get hungry, come on in.